Welcome to Technology Tech HD. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our documentaries. Today, we embark on a journey through one of the most impactful and controversial conflicts of the 21st century, the Russia-Ukraine War. This is not just a tale of tanks and territories. It's a story of people, history, betrayal, power, and survival. We will uncover the roots, the rise, and the raw truths of this war, narrated with facts, empathy, and a deep respect for the truth. In the shadow of the Cold War's end, the Soviet Union dissolved like morning fog. Ukraine emerged from its former master's grasp, a proud, independent nation in 1991. But independence was not liberation from influence. Deep cultural ties, economic dependencies, and overlapping histories bound Ukraine and Russia in a tense dance of autonomy and allegiance. In 1994, Ukraine made a bold gesture of trust, surrendering its nuclear arsenal in exchange for promises of territorial integrity, signed by the US, the UK, and Russia. That promise, once hailed as a triumph of diplomacy, would later return as a symbol of broken assurances. The early 2000s saw Ukraine navigating between two futures, one rooted in Europe and NATO, the other tethered to Russian influence. While a younger generation looked westward, Russia viewed Ukraine's shift as a threat to its regional dominance. The struggle came to a head in 2013, when then-President Viktor Yanukovych rejected an EU integration deal in favor of closer ties with Moscow. The streets of Kyiv erupted. What began as peaceful protests swelled into a revolution. Citizens clashed with riot police in freezing temperatures. Fires lit the skies of Maidan Square. Blood was spilled. The revolution of dignity ended with Yanukovych fleeing to Russia in February 2014. Ukraine, momentarily victorious, found itself vulnerable. Within days, unidentified soldiers, little green men, appeared in Crimea. Russia denied involvement at first, only to later admit the operation. The region, strategically vital and home to Russia's Black Sea Fleet, was annexed. Moscow claimed it was protecting ethnic Russians. The international community called it illegal, but the crisis did not end there. In Donetsk and Luhansk, armed separatists declared independence with covert Russian backing. A new war, quieter, murkier, broke out in Ukraine's east. Civilians were caught in crossfire. Cities turned into battlegrounds. Ukraine's military, underfunded and unprepared, struggled to respond. In 2015, the Minsk II agreement was signed, attempting to halt the bloodshed. But the paper peace rarely translated into silence on the ground. The Donbas region simmered like a wound that never healed. At dawn on February 24, 2022, the silence shattered. Russia launched a full-scale invasion. Missiles lit up the skies over Kyiv, Kharkiv, Mariupol. Tanks rumbled across borders. Civilians fled. Shelters filled. Streets once familiar became war zones. President Vladimir Putin justified the war as a mission to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, a narrative dismissed by most of the world. The invasion triggered the largest war in Europe since World War II. Entire cities were flattened, thousands killed, millions displaced. The world watched in disbelief as Ukraine, though outgunned, fought back with tenacity. President Volodymyr Zelensky, once a comedian, emerged as a wartime leader. In olive green and under siege, he addressed parliaments worldwide, rallying support, asking not for evacuation, but for ammunition. The war quickly transcended national borders. Western nations imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russia, cutting it off from global finance. The United States led in military and humanitarian aid, billions in weapons, intelligence, and support. European allies, initially hesitant, sent defense systems, ammunition, and opened borders to millions of Ukrainian refugees. But global involvement also brought geopolitical risk. NATO, while not sending troops directly, edged closer to the conflict. The risk of escalation, accidental or deliberate, hovered like a shadow. China watched closely. Iran and North Korea became silent partners in technology and trade with Russia. The war blurred traditional alliances. Volodymyr Zelensky was never meant to be a wartime president. Elected in 2019 on a platform of reform and peace, he found himself thrust into history. His leadership style accessible, emotional, bold, won admiration worldwide. Yet, inside Ukraine, cracks appeared. By 2025, criticisms grew over corruption and authoritarian tendencies. Anti-corruption institutions like NABU and SAPO faced political pressure. A controversial law weakened their independence, sparking protests. Zelensky's administration eventually backtracked, but the incident revealed the internal strain of war on governance. More recently, a scandal involving inflated drone contracts led to arrests of government officials. Despite this, no evidence has emerged that Zelensky is hiding truths about the war. His refusal to end it prematurely stems from a national conviction. Ukraine must reclaim its land and dignity, not settle under duress. Zelensky believes that accepting peace on Russia as he terms would legitimize the invasion and betray the thousands who died defending Ukraine's sovereignty. He has stated repeatedly that only a complete withdrawal of Russian troops and the restoration of Ukrainian borders could pave the way to a just peace. President Vladimir Putin's position is equally entrenched. From his perspective, the war is not merely about territory. It is about restoring Russia's influence, resisting NATO expansion, and rewriting what he sees as the injustices of the post-Soviet order. Putin views Ukraine not only as a neighbor, but as a historical and cultural extension of Russia. Allowing Ukraine to slip into the Western sphere of influence, especially under NATO's umbrella, is, to him, an existential threat. Ending the war without concessions would be perceived as a defeat, a crack in the image of Russia's strength. Moreover, domestic politics play a role. A Russian withdrawal might provoke internal backlash among nationalist factions or challenge Putin's authority. Thus, his refusal to end the war reflects both geopolitical strategy and political survival. Despite several rounds of peace talks, some open, others secret, no agreement holds. Ukraine demands full withdrawal of Russian forces. Russia demands neutrality, a non-NATO future for Ukraine. Neither side trusts the other, and so the war grinds on. Front lines shift by meters. Drones buzz like insects. Children grow up in bunkers. Entire towns vanish under artillery fire. This is not just a war of armies. It is a war of will, shaped by the personal convictions of two presidents and the historical forces they represent. The numbers are staggering. Over 500,000 soldiers and civilians have been wounded or killed. Over 8 million Ukrainians have fled abroad. Cities like Mariupol, once home to 500,000, lie in ruins. Hospitals have been targeted, schools destroyed. International courts investigate alleged war crimes, including forced deportations of children, summary executions, and deliberate bombing of civilian targets. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants. Justice, however, is slow, and pain remains immediate. As of late 2025, aid continues to flow into Ukraine, though Western unity is strained. Political changes in the US and Europe bring uncertainty. Ukraine must not only win battles, but also preserve its democracy. Zelensky's challenge now is greater than ever. To lead a nation at war, uphold democratic values, root out corruption, and navigate shifting international politics, all while keeping his people united. Peace may come one day, but it will not come easily. It will require compromise, courage, and the rebuilding of trust long destroyed. This war, still unfolding, is already reshaping Europe and the world. It is a battle over territory, but also over truth, sovereignty, and identity. What started in 2014 and exploded in 2022 will echo for decades. 2 presidents, 2 visions, 1 shattered border, and a world watching. Thank you for watching this documentary on Technology Tech HD. If you found it informative, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. What do you think is the path to peace? History is not written by the powerful. It is written by those who dare to tell the truth.